Welcome to episode 33 of KinFit. I'm Michael.
I'm Tiffany, and we are back with a brand new season of KinFit after sort of an extended hiatus, I would have to say.
Yeah, it's pretty extended.
Yeah, so what were you doing when...
Well, you know, I was saving the world with Jack Bauer. Same old, same old.
Right.
Well, what were you doing?
It was a secret mission, but I can't tell you. All I can tell you is it has something to do with pretzels.
Pretzels.
Yeah, don't ask.
We're going to discuss this afterwards. Anyway, so we're at McGill University today. We're supposed to be a sunny day today, but don't let the weather fool you. It's actually pretty warm in Montreal. I mean, no mittens.
Well, I have my mittens. But in any case, I'm very excited about our new episode. So let's move on to Fit News. So what do you have this week for us in Fit News?
Well, for those of you who watch a lot of TV, you might have noticed those newish Canadian commercials where they talk about chocolate milk.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, where the guy's playing basketball and then afterwards has the chocolate milk afterwards.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. They actually have a website. It's called rechargewithmilk.ca. I actually got a chance to go visit the website. It's pretty informative. It's pretty simple as well. I mean, you're not bombarded with a bunch of links that go all over the place, but they give you a nice little information on protein and the comparisons between white milk and chocolate milk.
Very good.
I thought that was pretty neat. I mean, one thing I didn't realize was that if you're someone that does low intensity exercise, they recommend you to drink white milk.
Okay.
But if you're someone that does moderate to high intensity, that's when you want to try to drink chocolate milk.
Yes, and that I just want to point out, chocolate milk is actually a really good recovery drink because it has the really good ratio of carbs to protein. So after exercise, it is actually a really good drink to take in.
Yeah, and another feature that I really liked on the website is that they have a little section where you can actually compare chocolate milk with other beverages that you can drink before and after exercise.
Okay. On my front, something really exciting. A new study has shown that a diet with regular intake of eggs will not necessarily increase your cholesterol levels. So this is super good news because I know for the several past years, the idea has been that if you take in a lot of eggs, you're taking in a lot of cholesterol, and if you have high cholesterol, it's not a good thing. But this study has shown that a diet of 2 eggs daily will not increase your cholesterol. In fact, it may even decrease it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really misconception. I mean, my mom does it all the time. Whenever she gives me an egg to eat, she always says, eggs are good for you, but don't eat too much because it's high in cholesterol.
Now, I want to point out, eggs do have a decent amount of cholesterol in them, but they also are very high quality protein. Now, the problem is it's not the cholesterol in the eggs that contributes to the cholesterol level. In fact, it's a diet high in saturated and trans fats that contributes to high cholesterol levels. So, with that now kind of cleared up, I think that makes everyone feel a little bit better, especially for those people who have who use eggs regularly in their diet. They don't have to worry too much. It's the saturated fats and trans fats you have to worry about. Okay, very good.
Yeah,
so you can check out the article afterwards. We have a link to that in our show notes. Okay.
Yeah. So eat in moderation.
Well, of course, always in moderation. Okay. Now, what else have you got?
On the CBC website, I actually came across a neat little feature that they have. It's called the calorie tracker.
Okay.
Neat because nowadays the trend is when you go visit a restaurant's website, they actually have the menu on the website and they actually show you how many calories it is for that food item at that menu. So if you go to McDonald's, they have it. You can find out how much a Big Mac, how many calories are in a Big Mac, and you go to Harvey's, you can find out the same thing as well. I mean, the neat little feature is because all the restaurants are on one page. Okay, little drop-down menu, so you can go to any of the restaurants and then compare the menus of each restaurant as well. So instead of having let's say 10 billion windows open with different restaurants all over the place, you have access of all the information on that one site.
Very good. Well, I sure hope that you don't go to 10 billion restaurants in a week. In fact, we probably encourage you to eat out the least amount possible. But if you do, this is a good place to go and get some information.
Yeah, about. And a nice little feature that they also added was that not only will you find out how many calories it is in that food item, but you can actually click on details, and it has another separate page where it kind of shows you the nutrition data, like a food label, kind of like the nutrition data website that we have that we always talked about. So you can find out the daily intake of that food item, and you can also have there's a little chart on the side where it shows you how many hours of exercise or how long it would take for you to burn off those calories if you ate that food item.
Okay, so how long is it going to take for you to burn off that cheeseburger?
I don't know, but you can find out on that website. Yeah, so so it shows you all the different types of activities like biking, running, and jogging, and how long it would take for each to burn off that food item.
Okay, very good. Very interesting.
And one last little bit of news.
Yes.
back in January, there actually came a nice little news report came out talking about like how a hospital in England was using the Wii Fit board to help rehab amputees.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty neat how like health professionals are taking advantage of the Wii and its peripherals to help promote health and fitness and rehab. I mean in Montreal, there's a rehab clinic called Lethbridge, and since last year I believe they've been using the Wii as well with their occupational therapy and physical therapy.
Really?
Yeah, they play Wii sports all day.
Oh, well, I don't know about all day there, but let's talk about using what you got. So that's kind of interesting. I guess it's a little bit encouraging and motivating for the patient as well, so it's not so boring to do the rehab, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe that is it for this week's Fit News.
On this week's Fit Tip, we're going to talk a little bit about calculating your body fat percentage and the types of methods used to measure your body composition. Now, the most common misconception is that calculating your body fat percentage is the same thing as calculating your BMI or your body mass index. That's actually not true. When you calculate your BMI only takes into account your height and your weight and not what's actually composed inside your body. So if I'm a short, muscular person and I do the BMI calculation, the BMI will probably tell me that I am mildly obese, which in fact is not necessarily true. Now, the most commonly used method used to measure body composition is the skin fold method. Okay, in the skin fold method, the individual administrating the test will use what we call skin fold calipers, or as most of you know as the pinchers. You would take specific sites on your body, okay, use the calipers, measure your skin fold, and then we would add them all up and calculate your body fat percentage. Now, the advantage of the skin fold method is that it's quick, it's easy, and it's cheap. The disadvantage is that if the individual that's performing the test if he's not accurate in measuring each site, then that increases the rate of the percentage of error. Okay. Another disadvantage is that if you go back and do the test a second time, and the person that's administering the test now is not the same person as before, then it's most likely that he's not going to measure the exact same area or the exact same area of the site that the first person did. So that again increases the percentage of error. The second most commonly used test to measure body composition is the bowel impedance analysis test. Now, if you ever gone to the pharmacy and you use the machine when you put your hands on it and gave you your body fat percentage, that's a bowel impedance test. Okay. Now, the ones at the pharmacy, they're not very accurate because the environment is not as controlled. The information that you enter into the machine may not be as accurate as if you were doing it in a clinical setting. The machine that we would use in a clinical setting, it's more like a scale where you actually step on top of, okay? Now, when you actually step on top of the scale, an electrical current goes in one side of your body and it goes out the other side. That electrical current actually measures the amount of water and electrolytes in your body, and based on factors such as your age, weight, height, gender, and physical activity levels, we can calculate more or less what is your body fat percentage and your fat-free mass, okay? Now, the advantage of this test is, again, it's easy and it's quick. It's a little bit more expensive than a skin fold, though. Okay. The disadvantage of this test is that if the environment is not controlled and the information is not entered correctly, then that leads to a greater percentage of error. Now, what I mean is that if the individual has eaten a big meal beforehand, he consumed a lot of caffeine, or he did a lot of exercise, then what happens is that makes the body more dehydrated, and when you're more dehydrated, the results of the test are less accurate. Okay. The third method that you can use to calculate or to measure body fat percentage is hydrostatic weighing. Now, this is less commonly found. It's also very expensive. What happens is that an individual is placed into water, and with water displacement, we can calculate what your body fat percentage is. Like I said, this test is the most expensive, and it's rarely found anywhere. So if I were you, well, I would recommend that you go to places and do either the skin fold or the bowel impedance analysis. That's it for this week's Fit Tip, and we'll see you next time.
So on this week's Information, I'm going to introduce you to something a little bit new. I'm not sure if everyone has heard about it. Is something called quinoa. So I have a little bag of that here, and you may say, what is this stuff, right? We don't actually use too much of it here in North America, but it's slowly starting to gain a little bit more popularity. It comes from South America. It's actually existed for several thousands of years, but we never really knew about it. And it's something a little bit special because although it looks like a grain, it's actually the seed of a plant. So it's not a wheat or a grass or anything like that. It is closely related to green leafy vegetables such as spinach and Swiss chard. So that's kind of a little bit different, although it cooks very similarly to grains and normally is grouped in with grains and pastas. But I just told you a little secret, not really a grain, it's seed. So what's so special about this grain is that it's super packed with a whole lot of nutrients, and in fact, it actually contains a complete protein. So this is really important for vegans and vegetarians because for different types of legumes, you have to have a good mix to have a complete protein. Whereas for quinoa, if you have this, it already has a complete protein in it. So it makes supplementing your diet really a much easier thing to do. It also is very low in gluten content. So for those who have low gluten tolerance, this is a very good type of food so that you don't have, you're not always eating the same thing. So this can actually be made into a type of flour to be baked into other goods and stuff like that. Likewise, I just want to mention very high in other vitamins and nutrients such as magnesium and manganese and all that stuff. So super easy to cook. In fact, what it is just 2 parts of water to 1 part of quinoa, and you cook that for maybe about 20 minutes or so until the water has been absorbed into the grains. You can add whatever you like. You can put it into salads. It has a very kind of nutty flavor to it, so it's definitely different. It's not like everything else. You can actually dry roast this as well and put it into salads, so you can have so many different things you can do with this. And I wanted to mention that so that you guys would maybe go out and try a little bit of it. And of course, I'll have all the information for you posted at the end of the show on the show notes. So go ahead, be a little brave. Let's try some quinoa this week.
So this wraps up this week's episode of KinFit.
So please check back our show notes for all our links and pieces of information we want you to check out.
And if you have any ideas, suggestions, or questions you want to ask us, you can send them to us at info@kinfit.tv. So remember, don't quit.
Stay fit.
Pretty informative as well, pretty simple to use. And oh crap, my phone.
Unbelievable.